Welcome back to Dealing with the Deckers. I'm Candace Decker, realtor in Southwest Florida, and this is my co-host, sister-in-law, and fellow realtor, Jamie Decker. So, Jamie, what do you have for us today?
So today we're going to be talking about the refinancing boom that's really been fueling a lot of the mortgages this past year. Just a little caution right away. We are not loan officers. We don't claim to be mortgage experts. So you should always consult your mortgage broker or your lender regarding any specific financial situation. But we do want to talk about why, what refinancing is and why we're seeing so much of it right now.
Exactly. All right, so I got to start this out with saying that interest rates right now are at a 3-year low. You probably hear that in the news and you're like, okay, what does that mean for me exactly? So what happens is, okay, if you look at your mortgage statement and you have an interest rate that you've had since you've taken the loan, and if that interest rate happens to be lower, the current interest rate is lower than what you're paying now, it might make sense to refinance your loan, whether it be with your current mortgage lender or a new one. And what they can do is actually reduce your monthly payment or increase your monthly payment if you want to take money from the equity that you currently have in your home. So that is what refinancing is, and there is a lot of opportunities, whether you've owned your home for a long time or you bought recently, maybe you had a higher interest rate.
Exactly. So, getting down to like brass tacks, refinancing is just essentially the replacement of an existing debt obligation with another debt obligation with different terms. So exactly what Candace said, we're just kind of replacing your mortgage with a new mortgage. With these refinancings, the Mortgage Bankers Association has estimated we've seen 38% of mortgage originations in the last year being refinancing. So it's really had an uptick because, like Candace is saying, we've seen such a decrease in the interest rate. So it's really beneficial for a lot of people to do that. The average rate on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage has dropped to 3.74% at the end of 2019. That's down from 4.55% a year earlier. So that's a pretty big drop. And then just think about people that have had mortgages for several years and may have had even higher interest rates than that 4.5%.
Right. And, you're essentially, that's money that you're giving to the bank that you wouldn't have to if you refied. So there's a ton of possibilities. And yes, interest rates are super low on a 30-year mortgage. Now, if you are already paying more on your mortgage now, it might make sense to refi into a 15-year mortgage. And interest rates are even lower on those 15-year rates.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It doesn't just have to be to lower your interest rate to refinance. You could shorten your loan term, like you said, 30 to 15 year. You could also tap equity, like you're saying as well. Get some equity out of your home if you do have quite a bit of equity, and change the terms. Like you might have an adjustable rate mortgage and want to go to a fixed rate, for example. So there's lots of different reasons you might want to consider refinancing, but it's not free, right? So there's definitely a cost. Exactly. So it can cost between 3 and 6% of a loan's principal. Again, check with your lender to see what their costs are for refinancing. But like an original mortgage, it's still, again, you check with your lender, but probably more than likely going to require an appraisal, a title search, and application fees. So definitely not free, but you definitely want to weigh the pros and the cons to see if it does make sense, even with those costs, to refinance at the end of the day in order to save you money on a monthly basis.
And, there are a few things to look at. So yes, there are costs involved in refinancing, and you're also starting your amortization schedule over. That's a tough one. So when you originally take out the loan, you're paying more in interest than you are in principal, and over time that levels off, and then you start to pay more principal than interest. So if you do refinance, you do go back to square one, and you will be paying more interest on the front end of the loan. So there's a ton of different ways to look at this to see what exactly makes sense for your situation.
Yep. And interest rates are expected to stay low or, hold steady this year, but they are expected to go up, and refinancing is expected to decline through 2021. So if it's something you're curious about, definitely speak to your lender sooner rather than later to see if it's something that you can take advantage of.
Yes, definitely. So thanks for joining us, and we will catch you on the next Dealing with the Deckers.